It's March 1st. It's time for a garden update for March and a greenhouse update. Stay tuned. I'll show you what I've been up to in the greenhouse and what I've been up to in the garden. Hey, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. I want to give you guys an update because this is March 1st. We're getting closer to springtime. Yes, the days are getting longer. Yeah. One of my favorite times of the year, but also one of the most busiest times of the year, is the animals are doing what the animals are doing and preparing for spring livestock, expanding the population. And then I'm busy with the garden, getting it all implemented, cleaning out the livestock pens, putting their turds in the garden, and really getting a head start on the gardening this year. I did that also by starting a lot of plants indoors in the greenhouse. We put a propane heater in here. That propane heater serves two purposes. Number one is it provides heat. Number two is it provides CO2 in a confined area or an environment, climate. Your plants are going to need CO2 gases to be able to convert to energy, for them to grow and turn to other products and sources, make oxygen, clean the air, and do what plants do best and do what they're designed to do. Yeah, clean the air. Also, hear that? Yeah. It's another fertilizer I added to the garden, an audible fertilizer. Yeah. I put classic music in here. Watch my video on why classic music was probably my best choice personally for putting in the greenhouse. It has a lot to do with frequency and mimicking the frequencies of nature. And the chirping of birds, where the plants respond to that frequency. So that, yeah, considered a fertilizer. There's also these other fertilizers I implement with the garden. There's this fish stuff that I use. There's all kinds of other stuff. Plus the worm bin. I got into vermiculture. We got earthworms, and they've been doing a fantastic job of breaking down all the bulk ingredients in this and processing it and making the nutrients more readily adaptable for the plant root to go in and take up those micronutrients that the plants will need. Bonus called black gold. Plus the plants are getting a lot of fertilizer from the sun, yeah, in the greenhouse. Keeping them warm, keeping them fertilized, and look at them. They're growing like crazy. My lettuce is growing, my rainbow radish is growing, I got spinach growing, I've got tomato plants growing like crazy. I have to thin those out and put them in smaller pots. I did buy a bunch of small pots from Dollar Tree. Yeah, these little small pots. We'll be doing the tomatoes in there to give them a chance to grow out a little bit more. And I could sell them at a roadside stand or sell them at work. People are interested in purchasing them from me at work, so we're gonna go ahead and give them the opportunity to get those. Because I don't need like 100, 200 tomato plants. I just want maybe 6 of them. That's it. That's all I can use, but I can share the rest of it with also my neighbors. One plant I have been having a hard time trying to get it to grow and from seed, and that is peppers. Until one of my viewers mentioned that I need the soil temperature to be 80 degrees. So he's successful at growing his on soil pans on heating pads. So since this is, you know, kind of an off-grid homestead, all I did was I turned the heater up, put the tray directly over the heater, and let the heat rise right up to the bottom of the pan, and I made sure the temperature was up high enough throughout the night, and it kept it at 80 degrees. And look at this. We've got germination going on. Thank you, viewer, for submitting that clue. That really helped me out a lot. So, yeah, neat stuff. And also wonderful viewers who love to share their information with the rest of us. So a lot of things are sprouting and growing. I added these shelves, put pots up. The greenhouse is getting full. I've got other plans for another spot in the greenhouse. Of course, I'm getting ready to remove the barrels. The barrels are only necessary for the winter months, the fall and winter months, for keeping the space warm. Because what they do is they absorb the heat from the sun, and then they store the energy in the water mass, and then they transmit that energy by keeping the space above freezing throughout the nightly temperatures. That way I can grow things year round in here. And that's my experiment this year, is to just see how much I can grow for how long I can grow here in the greenhouse. So my plans for this back wall: remove the water barrels, get them out and store them someplace else, because they will be coming back in the fall. But I'm going to be putting 5-gallon buckets of other plants down below, and I'm going to be hanging 5-gallon buckets from above, and I'm going to try hanging tomatoes and hanging cucumbers up here in the greenhouse throughout the summer. And of course, I expect it's going to get really hot in there. So we'll just open all the windows. There's screens, so we'll open all the windows. Now there's the problem with pollination. I want to make sure that the door's open and we have some access for the honeybees to be able to go in and do what they need to do to get in and out. So I'm going to provide that method for them, so my plants can at least get pollinated and fertilized, and I can get good fruit in there. Plus, I'm purchasing a great big old huge screen for the front, because the sun is here. It scans the sky here in the summertime, well, mainly overhead. But we're going to go ahead and screen this off, the front off, and we're going to kind of tone down how much light goes into the greenhouse from this direction to keep it a little bit cooler so it doesn't get so god-awful hot and destroy the plants. Now, since my episode that I filmed and showed earlier on the bargain garden, purchasing a seed from Dollar Tree, I went back to Dollar Tree the other day and bought a bunch more seed. We're going to go ahead and try those. One of my viewers lamented over the fact that they tried the seed, they didn't grow, so they went on and bought more expensive seed. But luckily I have stuff started from the other seeds, so it's not going to be a total loss this year. But we're going to go ahead and try these seeds in the outdoor garden. And right now, according to our growing zone, Zone 8 and the Farmer's Almanac, this is a list of items that I can grow outdoors, and I will be working on later this week and getting them in the ground. In alphabetical order, we got asparagus. Of course, I got an asparagus pail that I started from seed, plus I got asparagus root growing in these res beds over here that I did plant, and they did grow, but they didn't fruit into the full-blown asparagus that I could harvest yet. We're still waiting for that. Maybe this year. We've got beans, borage, broccoli, cabbage. We got cabbage growing in already. Bell peppers we got started in the greenhouse. Carrots, I got carrots started in this other garden over here that's covered with a tent. In a little bit I'll pull the tent back and we'll see what's growing in there. Cauliflower, celery, chives, collards, coriander, daikon, dill. I planted dill in the greenhouse. We started dill from regular seed. And I got this little rocket pot that they have from Dollar Tree that I started that was dill. Of course, I need dill when I'm growing my cucumbers to make my famous zesty dill pickles. Eggplant, I don't think I'll be growing eggplant. I do have the seed, but I might grow them just to sell them at the roadside. Endives, fennel, garlic. Got garlic growing. We started garlic from this peeled garlic I purchased from the grocery store. I had to have garlic in my recipe for coq au vin. Check out that recipe. Oh, that was so good. Of course, we got kale growing out here and inside. Kohlrabi. Never ate kohlrabi. Never did. Butter balm or lemon balm. Lettuce, mustard greens. Don't like the bitterness of mustard greens, so I probably will not be growing those again. Onions. I've got plenty of onions growing, especially in the greenhouse. The bigger ones I'd like to move outdoors to the garden and let them grow out. Of course, we got planted parsley, peas. We got more peas we're going to be planting. Radish. Oh, I love radish when it grows big, and then you roast it with butter and garlic. You've never tasted anything like it. Roasted radish. Try it. Savory shallots, spinach, sunflowers. I did find my sunflower seeds, so I'll be growing those this year. They really attract the bees well. I got some video and pictures of sunflowers that grew a couple of years ago. And one picture I got with a sunflower, it had 5 or 6 different variety of bee on it. It had some bumblebee on it. It had the regular feral honeybees, and then it had our native bees. The native bees indigenous to our country, which were not introduced from Europe or Russia or Asia, were these little tiny bees. Yes, they're pollinators and they do create a honey, but they're not big enough to create the amount that we humans would like to think we can cultivate lots of honey. Because we do have a sweet tooth. But anyway, yeah, that was a fascinating picture to just catch all those variety of bee on one sunflower. Sweet corn, right now is the time to plant sweet corn. Thyme, got my thyme in. Tomatoes, I got them started. I'm going to transplant the seedlings outside in the garden. I'm going to wait until the end of the month to transplant them out here, because I did that before on last year, because we do live in the mountains, and I lost all my plants because I just jumped the gun and we had a frost and it killed them all. So I'm going to wait. Plus I'm going to grow some in the greenhouse. I got turnip seeds, so I'll be planting those out. I love boiled turnip. I do. I really love it. Watermelon, we're going to try those this year, and zucchini. I have zucchini that sprouted in the greenhouse. Yay, we're going to nurture those the best we can, and I'm hoping more zucchini will germinate so we can get those out. Now, I'm only going to be growing varieties from that list that we do eat. I'm not growing anything that we don't eat. It's a waste of space and it's a waste of time. So I may grow the starts and sell them at the roadside stand. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. But look at my garden. I laid down the visqueen last year. I laid down the wood chips to keep it down and keep it from getting too hot by the sun and cooking and killing the microorganisms underneath, but it retains the moisture in the ground and it holds back the weeds. I have very few weeds coming up, so my garden's going to be really easy to be able to cultivate this year and get it started. Even in my raised beds, I've managed my raised beds really well, so there's just very few weeds, so I can very minimal amount of pre-up work to be able to get the garden in the ground. Oh, this is a joy. I just have to have this one little corner to finish. It's just one little strip where the raised bed that holds the asparagus is. I just have to pay attention to that and get that mulched in so we can control the weeds there. And then for the most part, the garden is finished. This year I want to paint the fencing and put my top caps on. And yeah, maybe pay some more attention to other things. But out here, we're going to be growing the spreading out crops like the melons, cantaloupe, and then over here I'm going to grow pumpkin and squash. We're just going to grow them out over here. And I'm not planting the corn out here. I'm actually going to be planting the corn in that front raised bed right there. Now I planted tomatoes in these middle raised beds last year, and you don't want to plant the tomatoes in the same spot year after year. We want to rotate it about every third year. So this year I think we'll put the tomatoes in these rear beds here, and plus the greenhouse, but I'm only going to do one bed of tomatoes in here since I will have some growing in the greenhouse. So let's go over here and look under the tent, see what grew, see what actually germinated and sprouted. Okay, does not look like the lettuce has come up yet. It's only been a couple of weeks and it's been cold out. We've got kale, I have a couple of weeds here. Oh yeah, kale sprouted. Let's take another look because they're really small. No lettuce yet, but kale has sprouted. Spinach has sprouted. So these plastic tents out here on the outside gardens really helps out. This is the first time I've ever used them. So we got carrots planted here. I don't see, yes I do. I see carrots coming up. Cabbage. I do not see any cabbage. Not yet. No beets. And no peas. And that's it. That's all we planted in here. And I don't see any evidence of them sprouting yet. But we got some coming up. So later in the week, I'm actually on vacation. Start my vacation this Thursday. It's the first day of my 8-day vacation. I've got a couple of one huge gigantic project I'll be launching into. So stay tuned for that episode. It's going to be epic. I mean epic. And I have to do it in 4 parts because it's going to be so epic. And that's primarily why I'm saving that project for when I'm on vacation, because I need the time to do it. Very special. But yeah, next week I'm also going to try to get my garden in, or later this weekend. I think I'll shoot for this weekend to do the garden. And I'll just show you what I'm planning, where I'm planting it, and some more stuff in the greenhouse, because I do want to start a lot of seed. Like I said, I want to build a little roadside stand and then just post it in my community Facebook page and just let the community know it's available up here for them to come and select from. I'll also have livestock for sale. I have the goats that are due to have babies here probably tonight. Marble is due tonight. Agate is due in 2 to 3 days. And Marble does look like she has twins, and Agate does look like she has, Marble looks like she has triplets in her. She's huge. And then, yeah, the other one looks like she only has twins, but I'll be surprised. We'll see. I'm not counting my goat kids before they're born. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. I want to thank you guys for joining me on my episodes from today to day. I've committed myself to do a vlog a day for this year. Yeah, it's going to be busy, but I'm going to try to keep it going even through the time of me. Well, I'm 2 movies, and I'm filming 2 movies, plus I'm filming something, a very special thing myself, so I'll be really busy. So please come back, subscribe, then click that bell icon. That alerts you to the new videos when I do upload them. Also, click that share button. Sharing our videos on your social media platforms helps us out. Give us a thumbs up. It likes the show, and it helps the algorithm with YouTube kind of recommending this channel and this show to others who wouldn't otherwise know that we're here. Yeah, leave a comment, and always be safe, and please, always be kind. We'll see you guys in the next episode, all right? Bye-bye. Heads up, spoil alert. I'm gonna go prank the geese. Yeah, watch that video. I'm filming that next. We'll see how it turns out.